Let's talk about seamless transitions and Antoine Semenyo into this side, Ali.
When Manchester City signed Antoine Semenyo for £64 million in January, most people saw depth. Pep Guardiola saw something else.
When you know, you know. And when you're a good player, and you're a great player, and in this case Semenyo has been that for Manchester City, it doesn't really matter. This guy has been noticeably, since this has been with Manchester City, their best player. Consistently their best player. Anytime he's on the field, you know something's about to happen when he gets a touch on the ball.
Within weeks, he had scored on his FA Cup debut. He struck again in a Carabao Cup semi-final away from home. He put points on the board in the Premier League, and by the time Fulham arrived, he wasn't just scoring, he was dictating how the first half unfolded.
He brings something to the front line, what we really want and what we need.
A goal and an assist. And suddenly, City's attack didn't just look controlled, it looked urgent. This isn't about hype, it's about trajectory. Semenyo had already produced double-digit league goals before the move. Now he's operating inside the most structured attacking system in England, surrounded by Haaland, Foden, Bernardo, creators who multiply space rather than compete for it. And here's what should concern the rest of the league. He isn't scoring one type of goal, he isn't thriving in one pattern, he's turning wide zones into high-value moments. And he's only just started. The Premier League has seen explosive wingers before, but it rarely sees a player combine physical presence, relentless pressing, and composure in front of goal. Inside a Pep Guardiola structure, this quickly. If this is the adaptation phase, what happens when the chemistry fully locks in? This is why Semenyo isn't just a January signing. He's becoming exactly what the Premier League should be afraid of. Before Manchester City ever made the call, Antoine Semenyo had already spent months doing something that gets a manager like Pep Guardiola's attention fast. This wasn't a quiet rise. It was loud, it was defiant, and it kept happening against big teams. Start at Anfield. Opening day. Bournemouth away to Liverpool. Most forwards treat that fixture like survival. Semenyo treated it like a stage. He didn't just score, he ran through them. One of his carries that afternoon was measured at over 50 meters before he finished low into the corner. Then he struck again. A brace at Anfield. The first visiting player to score twice there in the league in nearly 2 years. That wasn't momentum, that was a statement, and it wasn't a one-off. As the months rolled on, Semenyo's name kept appearing in match reports, not as a supporting character, but as the turning point. He scored from tight angles, he drove through contact, he punished defensive lapses. By January, he had already registered double-digit Premier League goals and 3 assists, sitting among the league's top scorers despite playing for a mid-table side. That matters, because when you're putting up elite numbers without elite service, people start asking what would happen if you were placed inside a dominant structure. Then came the farewell that felt scripted. On his 26th birthday, against Tottenham, Bournemouth were staring at another frustrating result. Deep into stoppage time, Semenyo arrives and buries the winner. Last kick of the game, stadium erupts. Teammates swarm him. It felt like a goodbye written in real time. Within days, Manchester City triggered the deal, and Pep Guardiola didn't speak like a man buying depth. He spoke like a coach who had been studying a profile. He praised Semenyo's two-footed finishing, his directness, his pace, his readiness for the Premier League level. Then the part that should have worried everyone else happened. There was no adjustment period. FA Cup debut against Exeter, goal. Carabao Cup semi-final at Newcastle, goal again. In a pressure environment, not a comfortable one. Premier League against Wolves, decisive contribution in a crucial win. Spurs away, early impact in another high-tempo contest. This wasn't a player easing into Pep's system, it was a player bringing form with him, and finding that City's rhythm didn't dilute his edge. And that's when the narrative shifted. Because once a forward arrives with that kind of confidence, and immediately translates it inside the most controlled attacking structure in England, you're no longer asking whether the signing will work. You're asking how quickly the league realizes what's coming. The Premier League has always had fast players. Strong players, direct players. What makes Semenyo different is the combination and the discipline inside it. First, he runs early, before your backline is ready. Most defenders love an attack that waits because it lets them set their distances, organize their cover, and breathe. Semenyo doesn't give you that comfort. He runs while the pass still looks safe. He attacks the space while the fullback is still thinking about shape. And once you've turned, you're already reacting. That's why his Bournemouth highlight reel has so many moments where defenders look like they're late to their own decisions. Because they are. Second, he welcomes contact and still keeps the ball. This is the detail Pep was basically pointing at when he praised the pace and the two-footedness. Semenyo doesn't need perfect balance around him. He can take a hit, stay on his feet, and still make the next action clean. That matters in the Premier League more than people admit. Because in tight games, you don't always get the perfect lane. Sometimes you get traffic. He doesn't flinch in traffic. Third, he's a second phase finisher. Watch the type of goals he scores, not just beautiful ones. He's built for the moments after the first attack. The loose clearance, the half block, the deflection, the rebound. That's why the Fulham goal later becomes such a clean example. He's alive to the broken moment and finishes it before defenders can reset. Fourth, he's genuinely two-footed. Guardiola said it outright. He uses both legs unbelievably. That sounds like praise until you understand what it does to defenders. If a winger is predictable, you can angle your body and guide him. If he can go either way and finish either way, you can't guide him. You can only survive him. Fifth, he works without the ball. The biggest reason he fits City isn't just goals, it's behavior. He presses, he tracks, he repeats runs. So even when he's not touching the ball, he's still shaping your decision-making. That's why his move makes sense for Pep. He doesn't break the machine, he adds danger inside the machine. At Bournemouth, Semenyo was the spark. At Manchester City, he becomes something more dangerous. A spark inside a system built to create repeated explosions. Pep Guardiola's teams don't rely on moments, they manufacture them. Territory first, pressure second. And then, when the opponent finally tries to breathe, the ball comes back at them even faster. That's why Semenyo's move to City changes the scale of the threat. Because now, his instincts, the early runs, the aggressive arrivals, the appetite for second balls, are no longer happening 5 or 6 times a match. They're happening 15. Look at the 3-0 win over Fulham. This wasn't a chaotic end-to-end thriller. It was structured dominance, and then inside that structure, sharp finishing. The first goal tells you everything. The attack builds down the right. Matheus Nunes stretches the play, delivers early, and the ball drops into the kind of unsettled area that defenders hate. It isn't a perfect cross. It doesn't need to be. It lands in the 6-yard zone, bodies scramble, and Semenyo is already there, finishing from close range. That's not luck. That's repetition meeting readiness. City had already pinned Fulham back with their press. The delivery comes before the defense can reset. Semenyo reacts before the defenders do. Pressure becomes a goal. 6 minutes later, the second goal arrives, and it's completely different. Not a loose moment. Not a scramble. This time it's combination play through the inside right channel. Semenyo doesn't stay wide. He moves into the half space, receives under pressure, and slips Nico O'Reilly through with perfect timing. O'Reilly finishes calmly across Bernd Leno. 2 goals, 2 completely different routes. Same side of the pitch. That's what makes City harder to plan for now. When they tilt the field, they aren't relying on one predictable pattern. They can deliver early from wide, combine through the channel, or strike from the edge of the box before the defensive block settles. And the numbers back up how dominant that first half was. City led by 3 before the break. The 33rd time under Guardiola that they've been 3 goals ahead at halftime in a Premier League match. More than double any other side in that period. That's not coincidence. That's structural control turning into early punishment. Here's the real shift. Before, teams could sit deep and focus on cutting off Haaland, protect the central lanes, delay the crosses, hope City overplay. Now, if you narrow to stop the cutback, Semenyo attacks the near post. If you shift wide to block the delivery, he steps inside and links play. If you clear it once, he's already anticipating the second ball. And because City win the ball back so quickly, those attacking phases don't reset, they reload. Fulham tried to play out from the back. City's press kept them pinned. The result? Wave after wave from the same side, until the defense cracked. That's the amplifier effect. City's structure creates the volume. Semenyo supplies the urgency inside it. And when urgency meets repetition in a Pep Guardiola system, matches don't drift. They tip. That's why this version of Manchester City feels sharper. Not because they've abandoned control, but because control now comes with acceleration. And when acceleration becomes repeatable, that's when the league should start paying attention.